Hello, and welcome to episode 78 of Prose. This week, observe a goddess of love bless a tortured half-dragon, and witness a dream fall from the stars. We don't have a lot of updates this week. I'll certainly be getting back to those of you who are interested in our upcoming swag ASAP. Please do go follow the show on social media, though. That's under @ProsePodcast. Even more amazing would be if you could go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a rating and review for Prose. Ratings and reviews set the show up for continuing well into the future. For easiest access to the show, subscribe using Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, whatever podcast catcher is your fave. Thanks for listening as always. Let's get to the tale, shall we? This week we have Lady Firehair and A Letter to NASA or Dream Deferred. Enjoy. Lady Firehair, an original short story by Jeremiah McGee. I pray you, do not fall in love with me. All men must, all women must. All mortals who gaze upon me stand no chance of avoiding it, but still, I pray thee, fight your passions and keep a clear head for your mandate, warrior. Sitareshk did not know what to make of this. His entire life, he'd been distancing himself from all gods, from all places and all peoples. But here before him was a goddess come down from on high to speak directly to him in the flesh. He found his yellowed eyes, some called them serpentine, others called them feline, fixed on that broad smile and those blazing waves atop her head. All depictions of she who must be loved showed her with deeper auburn as her crown of tresses, but this was no auburn. It was the brightest natural red Sitareshk had ever seen. In a bright lit contrast, her emerald eyes pierced through the near darkness of the temple, smoldering with a different fire than her hair, but a fire nonetheless. He found his sharp teeth exposed, his mouth hanging open, something that he tried to avoid, seeing as how humans and pretty much every creature in existence found it unsettling and latently aggressive. He clapped his mouth shut and forced his stare downward, fully intending on a passive supplication to take the place of his outward awe. What Sitareshk did not bargain on, however, was that the goddess of love and beauty was just as she had been in her marble form, nude. Her stone curves, already supple and graceful, became something incomprehensible and beautiful. He found himself staring at the calm rise and fall of her breasts now, making him inwardly wince at taking this awkward interaction with the goddess from bad to worse. Not often was Sitareshk thankful for his race, his pedigree. Now, staring longingly at the naked body of a statue-turned-living deity, though, he was grateful for his hard blue scales that protected him from outwardly blushing. Inside, he was all fire and fury, and even though he could avoid that outward show of it, he still thought the goddess could probably read his mind and see through his mind's eye. As he looked down, he realized her first lament, her first set of realities and orders made so much more sense now that he had her confidently stalking toward him, coming closer, down from what had been the statue's raised dais. And again, her velvet purr hummed and sparked across the room as she approached him. "Did you summon me by accident, blue half-dragon? I am here to repay your loyalty in my own fashion. Do not avert your gaze. Take me in. Sup on my flesh, quench your thirst with all of me, and you will find the peace and redemption that you seek after a lifetime of torment. Sidoreshk still could not find his voice, but he felt his muscles tighten at the mention of those priests and those carnival men and those traitors. All of those that had hurt him, be it with their hands, whips, their killing of his people. He had known nothing but pain for so very long. She continued, "Do you know the words through which you worship me, child?" With this direct question, Sidoreshk finally regained his voice and allowed his eyes to rise from the marble floor from where they'd finally rested, back up her perfect skin, slinking through every curve and bend, up to meet the goddess's eyes.
"I do, mistress."
"Can you say them with me, child?"
"I am but your servant, mistress, and I happily obey."
Together, they intoned, Beauty is more than skin deep. It issues from the core of one's being and reveals one's true face to the world, fair or foul. Believe in romance as true love will win over all. Follow your heart to your true destination. Love none more than yourself except Sune, and lose yourself in love of the Lady Firehair. Perform a loving act each day and seek to awaken love in others. Respond to love at least once in a day. Encourage beauty wherever you find it. Acquire beautiful items of all sorts and encourage, sponsor, and protect those who create them. Keep your own body as comely as possible and as attractively displayed as situations warrant. Let hairstyle and clothing best suit your personal appearance, striving to stir and delight others who look upon you. Moreover, hide not away, but always seek to present yourself to those around you in a pleasing variety of garbs and activities so as to move them with love and desire. Love those who respond to your appearance, and let warm friendship and admiration flower where love cannot or dares not. And how do my children worship me?
As a mother and lover, mistress.
That is correct, child. I have heard your 5 sweet prayers daily for so very long, even as you have called out to other darker kindred of mine before or after in far harsher prayers. I forgive you that infidelity, my child, as I know your pain and I know that you are a true seeker of beauty and love in this life. Yet again, Sidoreshk simply stood wide-eyed and in wonder. She knew his thoughts? She'd heard all of his prayers? His prayers. Death, revenge, dismemberment, the eating of man flesh. He had said and thought and prayed some horrendous things in the dark of night. Hell, in the bright of the dawn, too. And here she was before him, gracing him with her presence in her temple. The 30-year-old Dragonborn might be hulking compared to most, and he certainly was compared to this living statue the Princess of Passion had chosen to inhabit on her terrestrial visit. But he had never felt so small, so loved, so taken care of, so wanted. He realized that his head was still swimming, and that oddly enough, the smell of spring and newly blossomed roses and honeysuckle crashed upon him, dizzying him further. I know you seek your elder brother, Gopeshkumalek Fulgaresh, my child, and I cannot give you the answers you seek. You need to partake on this quest. It is your destiny. I will, however, grant you 2 boons, one this very evening and one in the future. Your future boon shall come when you most need it, least expect it, and most ardently do not want it. Your boon tonight shall be a dual vision. You will commune with me, child, and I will make you one of the Ruby Rose, my order and protectors on this plane of existence. As you do, you will receive a blessing and a curse from me, the Flame-Crowned. Your dual vision will show you how you may find love and happiness by sticking by those that show you loyalty and love. You will also see your doom come of that loyalty and love. In spite of all your silence and trying hard to be provincial, Sidereshk. He jolted at the use of his name. He had been listening, of course, and staring longingly at her eyes and hair and body, of course. But he was drunk on her presence and the divine knowledge she was sharing with him, on the honors she was choosing to bestow on him. I know you know how to commune with your Empress of Flame. I have seen in your mind's eye tonight, as I have on those long, lonely nights you were out on the plains and trekking across this vast land, when those curious clawed hands would find their way down your trousers in the dark of night, those nights when you really showed me the worship I desire. Come to me, my child. Let us pray together. Sidereshk almost giggled. Giggled! Something he had not done since he was barely past being a hatchling. He had not done so since he was taken from his family as they were being slaughtered at the base of the mountains near the Mirror Lake. He walked to her smiling, giddy, childlike. She quickly but serenely unbuckled the strap after strap, holding his plate armor and other vestments on and together, allowing them to clatter on the floor and disturb the serene silence. As the din increased along with her pace of undressing him, she began to hum in that thick velveteen voice, and the world swam anew for him. She had him fully undressed faster than he could have done so himself, and she gently led him toward the raised dais, taking him by the hand and walking slightly in front of him. The sway of her hips as he followed a step behind made him grow less giggly and more feral. Hungry. He would lie down, as she was now instructed. He would take her in, as she commanded, just as she would take him in her own way. He would sup, he would drink. He would find the peace and redemption and answers and meaning and another world in the glinting jade eyes of his goddess, in the tumbling fiery waves of this goddess, in between the alabaster thighs of this goddess. Sidereshk did not know what visions might come to bring her words to life, but he knew that he felt whole for the first time since his mother had sung to him, since his father taught him how to breathe sparks, since his brothers stood side by side with him in the training ring. He had adopted this woman as lover, as mother, as perfect woman, as balm for all his life's hurts. His vision began to swim, the promised dual revelation coming on, and as he lay back, the cold of the marble temple floor bit at him. Lady Firehair rode him slowly and rhythmically, never looking away from his face. And Sidereshk lost touch with this mortal plane and experienced unfettered joy after being a prisoner of pain for so very long. Thank you for listening to Lady Firehair. All sounds you hear come from freesound.org and freemusicarchive.org and are being used under CC 0 Universal Public Domain Dedication licenses. Please stick around for our next story. I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit of fantasy. We're going to go to a different sort of fantasy next with what was a very real letter that turned into a dream lost. A Letter to NASA, or A Dream Deferred, by Jared I. McGee. 21 April 2017. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, NASA. Mail code AAHX 2101 NASA Parkway, Houston, Texas. Attention, recruitment staff. To whom it may concern. I am writing on behalf of Jessica Ann James, one of the candidates who has recently applied for your summer internship program. I'm aware this letter of recommendation is late in coming. However, please do not let that be any indicator of Jessica's ambition or ability. Any tardiness rests wholly and solely on me. Jessica is most likely one of the younger applicants for your prestigious program. Though that may be true, her age belies her ability, maturity, and accomplishments. Jessica is currently completing her sophomore year of college here at Delta University. Though I have never had her as a student, her academic prowess and unfaltering work ethic is the stuff of legend among the professors on campus. She has an all-A average right now. Her 4.0 grade point average is the highly competitive major of mechanical engineering. It is impressive in and of itself, but Jessica realizes her academic goals while continuing to be a contributor to many institutions on campus. She is a member of the board of the prestigious Presidential Leadership Council. She works in Delta University's Disability and Testing Center. Most impressive of all, she maintains her grades and stays true to her other commitments, all while being a key member of the award-winning, championship-winning Delta University volleyball team. Jessica is also the captain of that team, taking on further responsibility for the other members' actions and attitudes in class and around campus. Listing off accomplishments, academic or otherwise, is a necessity in a letter such as this one. Nevertheless, an individual's accomplishment is but a dingy reflection of that person's spark, their amazing personality, their essence. Jessica exhibits traits that, sadly, have become increasingly rare. Diligence, respectability, truthfulness, honor. She is a young woman who chooses the unbeaten path and is unafraid to go it alone. Such individuals are often loners or have difficulties respecting others. Others simply may be incapable of teamwork. Both of these are untrue about Jessica. She leads a group of girls that, without her, excuse my worn-out simile, would be like a ship without a rudder. NASA should take notice of such a person. In a unique and invaluable governmental organization that has suffered greatly from recent tragedy, funding pitfalls, and disinterest born of ignorance, such a candidate would be invaluable to your programs, no matter what capacity in which you may choose to use her. Since childhood, Jessica's dreams have quite literally steered her to the stars. As a capable engineer and NASA disciple, she has a lifetime of working knowledge about your work, and that voluminous knowledge has now been and will continue to be honed by her education. Quite simply, with Jessica in your ranks, sic itur ad astra. Her unwavering passion and devotion to your precepts, programs, and entire institution will make an amazing addition to your ranks. She has already traversed the rough road. Now, let her take to the stars. Warmest regards, Jefferson Ian McCullough, Assistant Lecturer of Literature, Delta University, J. McCullough at deltauni.edu. Retraction, to whom it may concern. I am writing on behalf of Jessica Ann James, one of the many candidates who recently applied for your summer internship program. Unfortunately, Jessica has asked me to withdraw my recommendation as she is withdrawing herself from consideration to your program. I fear that life and its curveballs have pushed her to step away from her dreams. Thank you for your consideration and your time. Maybe someday, Jessica will reach for the stars again. Thank you for listening to A Letter to NASA or Dream Deferred. All songs and sounds you hear come from YouTube's recently launched royalty-free audio library. The tracks being used are being used under CC 1.0 Universal Public Domain Dedication licenses. Now, that does it this week for Prose. I hope that you've enjoyed our two, differing stories. It wasn't the usual kind of episode today, was it, friends? At any rate, I continue to beseech you to go and find me on social media. That's at Prose Podcast on all the various bits and bobs of social media. And please keep your eyes open for an Easter special that is forthcoming. I hope that you all remember to love those around you, tell them that you do, and embrace this life as it is always stranger than fiction. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.